umpires for today's game. Wait, is Ralph Rodriguez. No, this is just Scott Johnson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Namoli Family Stadium, where this afternoon the Tampa Spartans take on Adelphi University in a doubleheader. I am Bruce Wozniak, joined by Taylor Stolworthy, as UT puts a 15-game winning streak on the line, coming in ranked number 3 with a 19-1 overall record against Adelphi with a 1-5 mark and a 4-game losing streak. Taylor, the starting pitcher for Tampa this afternoon.
Yeah, Gwen McGinnis takes the circle for the Spartans, has 12 appearances, the team leading 8 starts, and a 9.91 ERA with an 8-0 record. It's safe to say McGinnis has been the ace for the Spartans this season and the perfect player to kick off a Saturday doubleheader.
And the Spartans, as I mentioned, a 15-game winning streak, but coming off a doubleheader sweep right here yesterday afternoon on this very field. They swept West Liberty by scores of 15-2 and 16-0. And as those scores imply, Taylor, we saw loads of offense from the home team.
Yeah, against West Liberty, it was the 7-run fourth inning that ultimately was able to secure the game end in the top of the fifth with the run-ahead rule, and a 6-0 complete game shutout for Gale House in Game 2.
And the first pitch of the game was a strike, and now there's a fly ball to left field and caught by Lauren Fantone for out number 1. The leadoff hitter for Adelphi was Jordan Pasquarelli, and now we're going to see the second base player, Angelina Kellogg, as McGinnis you see throwing in ball 1. Another beautiful afternoon for softball as the next pitch comes in, and that one is popped up on the first base side, called for and caught by Kate DeSimone for out number 2. 76 degrees, our game time temperature. And that'll bring up Ellen Torion, Adelphi's third base player. McGinnis checks the wristband, winds, delivers, and strike called by the home plate umpire, Ralph Rodriguez. And holding off was Torion.
A little surprising to see Torion batting in third after having a somewhat slow start to the year, 2 for 19 at the plate, but that just shows that Coach Apostolopoulos has the trust in the 12 to start to heat back up in the plate.
That one got a little bit away from DeSimone. You saw it up high. Torion leaned back, swings and misses, and the count goes even 2-2. We have just begun the top of the first inning in Game 1 of a scheduled doubleheader between UT and Adelphi. And the next pitch on the way is outside. The count is full.
A scary spot to be in whenever you're in a full count against Gwen McGinnis.
And that one's going to be fouled down the right field line. And looked after out there by Mariah Galehouse, who occupies that position when she's not in the pitching circle. And Taylor, we saw yet another dominant pitching performance from Galehouse here yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, complete game shutout.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Torion as out number 3. So Adelphi in the top of the first, no runs and no hits, no Spartan errors, and no runners left on base. We will be back with the Spartans half of the first after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Nemoli Family Stadium, and Taylor, tell us about the starting pitcher for Adelphi.
Yeah, Adelphi is also bringing out their ace, Jenna Plew, to the circle. 10 strikeouts, leading the team for the season, and across 17 innings, does have an 0-3 record, but a team-best 3.71 ERA. Safe to say that she'll be hoping for some run support today. Might be difficult given that her opponent has a sub-1 ERA, but it'll be interesting to see how the junior does in the circle. One thing I'll mention that Adelphi, their pitching staff as a whole, has had solid command, only 5 walks in 36 innings. And we saw Tampa yesterday dominate in terms of getting on base. They had 8 walks in the first game against West Liberty in that 15-2 win, and that was because they drew walks, they got even a couple, I think, hit by pitches and stuff, and they just were able to get ahead in the count, control the at-bats, and get on board. And if Adelphi can find the zone, it might be a little harder for the Spartans to try to replicate that 21-run output today.
And as always, the Spartans are led off by left fielder Lauren Fantone, the reliable senior. And the 1-1 is strike 2. Some wind of note as the American flag out in right center field, blowing from left to right. Next pitch is on the way from Plew, and that's outside. The count will go even. Plew looked over at her own dugout, now is ready. Wines delivers and fouled back to the screen. We were saying up here in the press box before we started our broadcast about Adelphi having to wear all black uniforms in this Florida sun, and with it being a scheduled doubleheader, could be more of a factor in Game 2. For the time being, here's the 2-2, and Fantone sends that one to right field and will be aboard with a single as Schroeder tried to get it back to first base, but not in time.
A player like Fantone, it's hard to get out on a ground ball to right field like that. There are other players that are maybe a little slower on the diamond that you could make that play against, but Fantone is known for her speed and ability to get on base. That's why she has been, like you mentioned, Bruce, the go-to day one leadoff player for the last couple seasons for the Spartans.
Lily Keister, the center fielder for UT, started to show bunt. And to continue with the thought on the Fantone play, this is such a big ballpark, but it's a good heads-up play by Schrader to know that because of where the ball was hit, there might still be a play at first, and now we see another bunt attempt by Keister. And I think the problem or the mistake that too many folks make is as soon as you see a batted ball that goes out of the infield, you automatically assume, which is always a bad word in itself, that it's going to be a base hit. And so Schrader, with the heads-up play, tried to get her at first and couldn't. Now the 1-1 to Keister, and that's outside for a ball. And you see jumping up on a couple of these plays now, the catcher, Maddie Moore, keeping an eye on Fantone over at first base, if nothing else, keeping her honest. And now the 2-1 to Keister drops down a nice bunt, and they will have the successful sacrifice as Keister is out at first and advances Fantone to second for Kenna Kreidler, the Spartans catcher.
That's the small ball playbook. Get the leadoff runner, advance them into scoring position, and there are very few players in the Sunshine State Conference who are better at laying the sacrifice down than Lily Keister. That's why she is also, like how Fantone is the leadoff player, pretty much locked in. That's not going to change for the Spartans lineup ever. Same for Keister. She's always going to be in that number 2 spot.
Kreidler sends a shot past the shortstop, and they will hold Fantone at third, but Kenna Kreidler is aboard with a single, And with just one out, UT has runners on the corners here in the bottom of the first, and the dangerous Mariah Galehouse, the number 4 hitter, to the plate.
And the idea with the Keister bunt is to give players like Kreidler, Galehouse, and Russo a chance with a runner in scoring position. Kreidler's converted, and now Tampa's Otani, if you will, gets a chance to try to bring the Spartans a lead.
Jenna Plew, the Adelphi pitcher, and that one gets away, and a wild pitch is going to score Fantone from third, as Kreidler will advance to second. And I was starting to say Jenna Plew in a little bit of trouble early, and it just got worse as the Spartans get the first run across the plate in the bottom of the first with still just the one out and a runner in scoring position with Kreidler on second now. So the 1-0 to Galehouse on the way now. Strike one. Mariah walks out, looks down at head coach Leslie Cantor. Ready here again. And nicely fielded by the second base player over to first for out number 2. Kreidler, of course, advancing to third. The dangerous Alexa Russo, the big bat of Alexa Russo, to the batter's box now for the home team.
I think the only benefit here for Plew is that there is 2 outs, so you can't have a sac fly on the play, because that's the big threat with Alexa Russo. Has some of the best power of the Spartans offense. Whenever the Spartans really need it, she can take a ball all the way to the wall and sometimes even clear the fences at the notoriously unfriendly home run ballpark here at Nemoli Family Stadium. Multiple times in tournament play, we've seen the NCAA bring out artificial sort of shortening fences to make this a little more split neutral for the pitching and batting, but Russo's the type of player who's had multiple long balls clear the fence, and that's just her level of ability. It's kind of a shame that she's kind of robbed, I'd say, probably at least 10 to 15 home runs for a Spartans career because our field is just so big.
She's hitting .276 entering today's game. And Russo, one of a handful of players that has appeared in all 20 games for the Spartans this season. The 2-1 coming to her now from Plew in the dirt. And I've noticed early on here, at least it's a small sample size, but in this bottom of the first inning, very active catcher Maddie Moore behind the plate, the freshman for Adelphi. Russo fouls it off. Count goes full. Alexa Russo, Taylor, I don't think she cares how many outs there are. She's always swinging a big bat. And while it's true, as you mentioned, no opportunity for a sacrifice fly, she will swing away with the best of them.
Yeah, and her exit velocity is always top tier. There's a reason she's leading the way for extra base hits, tied with Galehouse for 7. And she's leading the team with 5 doubles in the season, as she's able to just continue to find the gaps and send it over the outfielders' heads. There's a reason that Adelphi is running their outfielders relatively deep, at least for Pasquarel, out in center field. That's because they respect Russo's power.
3-2, and down goes Russo as the first strikeout of the game for Jenna Plew. 1 run for the Spartans, 2 hits, no Adelphi errors, and 1 UT runner left on base. Through the first inning, UT in the lead 1-0. We'll be back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Nemoli Family Stadium, UT leads it 1-0. And this half inning for the Panthers, we will see the 4, 5, and 6 hitters. And specifically, Juliana Sanzone, the number 4 hitter, designated player, starting things off for the visitors here in the top of the second. Sanzone hitting .294. Takes the first pitch high outside for a ball.
Sanzone's a great veteran presence for this Adelphi team, the lone graduate student previously at Stony Brook as well.
Fouls that one off to the portion of the stadium where the visiting team's fans always congregate, and a fair number of Panthers supporters here this afternoon. And now here comes the 1-1. Swing and a miss. Sanzone was going for the fences on that one. Count goes even. And although they are overwhelmingly northeastern states, it is notable the number of states that are represented on Adelphi's roster, the makeup of this team. And there's a swing and a miss, and down goes Sanzone. So out number 1 here in the top of the second.
Being Northeast also gives fans a great excuse to come down to Florida to enjoy a bit of vacation, but especially because Adelphi has been down south all week long. Starting on Tuesday against Florida Southern, they split the series against the Mocs, actually defeating our rivals by 10 in Game 2, and then took 4 straight defeats against St. Leo and Rollins leading into this game. But they actually continue their trip next week, Monday and Tuesday, in Melbourne and Daytona Beach down here in Florida. So a very long Florida trip going from the 4th to the 11th.
A really nice curve on the first pitch from McGinnis, and it resulted in ball 1, and now you see ball 2 there. Batter is Reagan McCarthy, freshman shortstop, and pops that one up. Reagan McCarthy hitting .429, albeit in just 2 games played. And a strike there as the count goes even.
McCarthy does have the best RBI total of any of the non-qualified batters.
And just stays fair as she takes a big turn at first, and they will hold her there. So Reagan McCarthy aboard for Adelphi with her team's first hit of the game.
That was fair. That was not fair.
I'll say on that play, unfortunate for the first hit to be conceded, but Fantone did a great job of getting to the ground ball, sort of at an awkward spot by foul territory down in left field, and she got the throw in quick enough where McCarthy didn't have a chance to think about too.
The first base player, Brianna Pearson, for the Panthers. And strike 1 rung up on her. Gwen McGinnis with 2 strikeouts out of the 4 outs so far in this game. And a throw down to first and back just in time. And Taylor, it seems like all Gwen McGinnis has done lately is win awards.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a stellar season for Gwen McGinnis. I mean, she's coming off of a couple great seasons with the Spartans, but shining even brighter. Multiple Pitcher of the Week awards. She's been dominating with a strikeout rate that has 47 over 46 innings. And while if you count the numbers today, it's actually now 47.2 innings pitched and now about to hit 50 strikeouts, hopefully, in this at-bat as she falls behind. But still, Gwen McGinnis, what a season so far.
3 balls, 1 strike, the count against Brianna Pearson. Swing and a miss. And the count full with one out and a runner over at first. Here's that 3-2 swing and a miss. And that is strikeout number 3 for Gwen McGinnis. And a few words on the way back to the dugout from Pearson to the next batter, Courtney Murphy. 2 outs now in the top of the second, and fouled back. One looked like it might have glanced off the mask of Kenna Kreidler, UT's catcher. The 0-1. Rung up strike 2, and you saw Kreidler popping up and looking down at the base runner. That's Reagan McCarthy over at first for the Panthers. And there's one that goes down the left field line. Fantone in foul territory makes the catch, and the Panthers are done in the top of the second. No runs on 1 hit. There were no Spartan errors. And 1 Panther runner left on base through 1.5. UT leads at 1-0. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, and leading things off for UT in the bottom of the second is Kate DeSimone. This is the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the UT lineup. Kate DeSimone, who we often see in the pitching circle, playing first base today. And DeSimone promptly fouls the first pitch back.
One interesting thing is that this is the first time this season that we aren't seeing Abby Solt start a game for the Spartans. Entered today with all 20 games played and started, but a rare off day for Solt.
Count even 1-1. Kate DeSimone has played in 8 games. She has 1 hit and 6 at-bats for a 167 batting average. And here comes a 1-1 pitch to her that she checks her swing. They call strike 2. Plew sends that one low and outside.
DeSimone's only had 2 strikeouts at the plate, but 30 from the circle so far this season.
The 2-2, and a nice batted ball, but even better fielded and bobbled by the first base player. And Kate DeSimone is going to be safe at first base. A well-hit ball, nicely fielded by Angelina Kellogg, but just bobbled enough by Brianna Pearson that DeSimone is safe, which brings up McKenna DiMartino, the freshman shortstop. And DiMartino tries the sac bunt, and we'll do it all over again. Bounced off of home plate.
Yeah, painful in the previous play there. Kellogg with, like you mentioned, a great job ranging to her left. The flip to the first base player, Pearson, was good, but then just popped out of Pearson's glove at the last second.
Yeah, and it takes a pretty talented athlete to not let that throw you off when the ball bounces out of your glove and still be able to corral it and get it to the base you're trying to throw to in time. So those are going to happen over the course of your career, and you just hope that they're few and far between.
Yeah, the good news for Pearson, she kept it right in front of her, so it didn't necessarily get away to potentially allow DeSimone to advance to scoring position. But still painful when it happens, but, there's a bit of advice from the Ted Lasso TV show that's, I think, great whenever you commit an error. Be a goldfish, forget, and move on quickly.
1-2 to DiMartino, and Plew rings up the strikeout. McKenna DiMartino is retired as out number 1 in this bottom of the second, which brings us to the number 8 hitter, which is Ava Ramirez, the designated player. And Ramirez swings at a pitch that was outside.
We're going to see some lineup changes today for the Spartans. Just the second start of the year for Ramirez. 1 for 6 at the plate.
Another swing and a miss, 0-2. Yeah, Ramirez with a stat line very similar to that of Kate DeSimone, although Ramirez has only played in 6 games entering today as opposed to the 8 for DeSimone, and fouls that one off to stay alive.
What's notable as well for DeSimone is that a majority of the games she's played have been from the circle as a starter or reliever. So kind of interesting to see how I think Ramirez has had more games purely as a batter potentially, but DeSimone's had more overall appearances.
The 0-2 sent to right field and missed, and this is going to be trouble as Ramirez will be stand-up double and DeSimone over to third. And honestly, Taylor, I think that was a case of the Florida Sun being the foe of Schrader out in right field. As you saw her look up for the ball and was greeted promptly by the Florida Sun right in her eyes. And the ball got past her. So runners on second and third now for UT.
I think the saving grace there for Adelphi was that there was 1 out and not 2. If there were 2 outs, DeSimone would not have held up and would have easily made it home on that play. But because DeSimone had to make sure.
Wow, a line out there by Kenzie Reynolds directly to McCarthy at short. And now there are 2 outs very quickly.
Yeah, DeSimone had to watch out for the double play if it was caught by Schrader. So after it got by her, she was then able to advance to third. But now a little difficult for the Spartans here with 2 away.
Lauren Fantone, the batter. Fantone gets a piece of it, and ranging back and making the catch for out number 3 is McCarthy. UT, no runs on 1 hit, 1 error by the Panthers, and 2 runners left on base through 2 complete. UT leads at 1-0. We'll be back with more after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Ready to start the top of the 3rd inning as Gwen McGinnis continuing from the pitching circle. She's thrown 30 pitches so far, 3 strikeouts. And to start the top of the third, she will face the Panthers catcher Maddie Moore, number 8 hitter. First pitch is up high for ball 1.
Interesting thing for the Adelphi lineup, they've got some young players starting. Moore, one of 2 freshmen alongside McCarthy. And, apart from the wild pitch that did give Tampa the lead, you mentioned she's been busy and making some good blocks behind home plate.
Takes ball 2 there. 2 balls, 1 strike. McGinnis with the next offering, and swung on and fouled down the left field line. Moore looking like she really wants to take one of these pitches for a ride. And right to McGinnis, and not going to be able to get it to first in time. Does! Wow. That one looked like it had base hit written all over it. Kind of a too hot to handle, as I said yesterday, and McGinnis just able to get it to DeSimone in time for out number 1. And now Schrader, who we've seen in the outfield with the bat on her shoulder, and fouls off the first pitch that she sees.
Yeah, for the season, Schrader only batting .250. But has gone aboard with 2 walks as well, has 2 strikeouts. She's got the 4th best qualified on base percentage for Adelphi.
Swings and misses, and the count goes to 0-2. And now fouls off that pitch to stay alive. Way up high for a ball. I've said this before on other broadcasts, but I personally love the efficiency of the Spartans pitching staff in terms of not wasting any time in between pitches. Oh, and wow, gets Schrader to reach for what will be yet another strikeout, the 4th of the game for McGinnis, and 2 away in the top of the 3rd as we go back to the top of the Adelphi batting order. And Jordan Pasquarelli, who sends that one to DiMartino for out number 3. Nice catch there by McKenna DiMartino to retire the Panthers. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Adelphi runners left on base. We'll be back with the bottom of the 3rd after this on TampaSpartans.tv.
But I think they could also
Back here at Namoli Family Stadium, the number 2 hitter for UT, Lily Keister, starting off in the bottom of the 3rd, facing pitcher Jenna Plew for the Adelphi Panthers, who has thrown 36 pitches thus far, 2 strikeouts. Keister waits, Plew delivers, and Keister steps out of the way of that one. Keister ready. Plu ready. And bounces to short and over to first. Good base running by Keister. She is out, but you got to love the hustle there as she is retired to start the bottom of the third, which will bring the Spartans catcher Kenna Kreidler to the plate. She singled in the first inning.
That was a routine play for McCarthy, but you love the hustle from Keister, not giving up until she was barely out by half a step because, on a play like that, if there's a little delay, you're on safely.
Well struck ball by Kreidler, and great catch out there by Schrader. And Kenna Kreidler really got a hold of that one, but Schrader, a great play in the outfield, and quickly 2 outs for UT.
Painful there for the Spartans. Redemption for Schrader after a previous fly ball that was hit her way was able to go over her head for extra bases, that time ranging to the warning track to make that catch.
The Spartans cleanup hitter Mariah Galehouse with the bases empty follows that one back. Galehouse grounded out to second in the first inning and is behind in the count here 0-1 in the third. And that one's outside for ball one. Maddie Moore delaying after she caught that pitch, and it was far outside that if she thought she was going to influence the umpire, maybe she didn't realize where she was positioned. Galehouse, that's grounded to third, over to first, and down go the Spartans. 1, 2, 3 in the bottom of the third. No runs, no hits, no Panther errors, and no Spartan runners left on base through 3 complete. UT continues to lead 1-0. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. I'm Bruce Wozniak, thanking you for spending your Saturday with us here on TampaSpartans.tv, joined by Taylor Stolworthy and a doubleheader between the Tampa Spartans and the Adelphi Panthers. UT on a 15-game winning streak coming into this game, a 19-1, one-lost mark. And the Panthers trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. They are 1-5 thus far in 2025. And this is their number 2 hitter, Angelina Kellogg. Starting off the top of the 4th. Strike going to Kellogg, who popped out to first base in the first. Right down the middle for Gwen McGinnis for strike 2. Just outside for a ball. Popped up, called for by DeSimone, and the catch for out number 1. Down goes Angelina Kellogg. And that'll bring up the number 3 hitter, Ellen Torion. The third base player for Adelphi, struck out in the first. And the first pitch on the way to her here in inning number 4 is strike 1.
Kellogg batting second for Adelphi is a very sabermetric idea, honestly, for the Panthers lineup, given that Kellogg's been their best hitter this season, leading the way for qualified batters with a .467 slugging, best at getting on board, and with a .400 average entering today. Usually, you'll see those players third and fourth in the order across college softball and baseball, where, the first two players are someone to get on base and someone to advance them. That's kind of the small ball strategy that Joe Urso has been dominant with the Spartans. That's kind of the strategy that we use as well here with Coach Cantor for softball. But I think Adelphi kind of taking sort of that sabermetric idea, putting the best batter second, even though she's 0 for 2.
Here's the 2-2, swung on and missed. And another strikeout. Gwen McGinnis, that's 5 today, as Torion goes down as out number 2 in this top of the 4th. And Gwen McGinnis was really flirting with that line right between a ball and a strike. As you see the first pitch come in as a strike here to Juliana Sanzone. Sanzone struck out in the second. Now finds herself behind 0-2 here in the 4th. The cleanup hitter in the Panthers lineup. Sanzone, as Taylor mentioned before, the grad student. One ball, 2 strikes to her. She initially shows bunt and now pulls back and takes that one way outside for ball 2.
I think it's really safe to say that McGinnis just lives on the shadow of the zone, just on the outside corners, trying to paint it right on the edge, make a tough decision for the umps.
Well struck ball by Sanzone, and left fielder Lauren Fantone has to chase that one, and the Spartans do manage to hold her to a single. Really good contact there by Juliana Sanzone. And so Adelphi stays alive in the top of the 4th with 2 outs and now a runner on first. That brings up their number 5 hitter, Reagan McCarthy. Ball 1 to her. McCarthy singled in the second. Now steps back into the batter's box. McGinnis, already ready to go, fires that one high and gets McCarthy to bite on it. The count goes even at 1-1. A rise ball there that fooled McCarthy for sure. Just outside for ball 2.
Those have been some tough calls for Ralph Rodriguez today, the home plate umpire, because McGinnis just does a good job of keeping them so close. That's really a 50-50.
Sent to left center field. Keister is there and makes the catch for out number 3. The Panthers, no runs on 1 hit. There were no Spartan errors, and 1 Panther runner left on base. We'll be back with the bottom of the 4th right after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Alexa Russo heads to the batter's box for the Tampa Spartans, who currently lead 1-0. 2 hits for the visitors and 3 for the home team through 3.5 innings. Russo struck out looking in the first inning. And Jenna Plew with 42 pitches thrown thus far induces a pop-up, and it's caught on Russo's first pitch seen here in the bottom of the fourth. That'll bring up Kate DeSimone. UT's first base player. She is 0 for 1 in this game. And that one just gets away from catcher Maddie Moore. Plew back on the rubber, ready. And DeSimone finds a big gap right over the second base bag, and she is aboard with a single in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Good day for DeSimone so far. Was able to get on board with the error last time, hustling on what was a very good fielding play by Kellogg, but this time just slapped it across the middle, and a great base hit for the other Spartan two-way player in our team.
And now McKenna DiMartino, the Spartans shortstop. And that one's called foul. I could make an argument that if there was such a thing as a replay, it would be worth taking another look at.
I saw it pretty well from the angle right here. It looks like it bounced just to the left by the time it was passing the third base bag. It was very close down the line.
0-1, DiMartino, and she will be out at first as Pearson did come down in time to touch the bag for out number 2. Kate DeSimone, of course, advancing to second, and that brings up the number 8 hitter, Ava Ramirez. Ramirez doubled in the second. That one bounces and gets away from Moore, and DeSimone to third now. So the plot thickens with 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth, and a chance for the Spartans to double their lead.
That is a painful wild pitch to give up, but no sacrifice fly possibility because there is 2 away.
One ball, one strike to the local product, Ava Ramirez. Pitch on the way, and Ramirez follows that one off. Jenna Plew ready. Her delivery on the way, and Ramirez grabbed it short over to first and in time for out number 3. So the Spartans, no runs on 1 hit. There were no Panther errors and 1 runner left on base through 4 complete. UT clings to a 1-0 lead. We'll be back with more after this on TampaSpartans.tv.
Please follow us on Facebook at
Panthers first base player Brianna Pearson stepping into the batter's box to face Gwen McGinnis as we begin the top of the 5th inning. Gwen McGinnis has 5 strikeouts. Pearson struck out in the 2nd.
Be the last one in, right?
And does just manage to catch that edge of the strike zone for an 0-1 count. Nice pitch by McGinnis, and Pearson quickly finds herself in an 0-2 hole. Swing and a miss, and down goes Pearson on 3 consecutive pitches as strikeout number 6 of the afternoon for Gwen McGinnis.
6 strikeouts, usually great for so many pitchers, but for Gwen McGinnis, it's just another day at the office. She is a strikeout specialist, and, a performance like this, I think she's trying to get another Pitcher of the Week award.
This is the left fielder, Courtney Murphy. She flew out to left field in the 2nd inning. The 0-1 to her is ball 1. And another swing and a miss as McGinnis has absolutely found her groove here. And gets Murphy to reach for a pitch that she had no business reaching for. And when things are going good, they're going great. And that's the case for Gwen McGinnis here. 7 strikeouts and 2 down in the top of the 5th. Catcher Maddie Moore.
And she struck out 13 against Lynn earlier this season. 7 strikeouts is now her 2nd most for the 2025 campaign, but another masterclass so far from McGinnis.
Strike 1 to Maddie Moore, the count even. Moore grounded out to McGinnis in the 3rd. Sends one way out of play down the left field line over towards the Spartans bullpen. And there's a shot nicely fielded by DiMartino over to DeSimone for out number 3. As the Panthers, no runs and no hits, no Spartan errors, and no runners left on base. Through 4.5, UT clings to that 1-0 lead. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. This is Kenzie Reynolds, the Spartans' number 9 hitter, to begin the bottom of the 5th inning. And her team out in front 1-0. And Taylor, as dominant as Gwen McGinnis has been from the pitching circle for UT, the fact of the matter, if you're Adelphi, is you're absolutely in this game. It's still only 1-0.
Yeah, the person I have to thank for that is Plu, who has really been stellar so far, holding the Spartans just 4 hits in the 1 run off the wild pitch. And even though Tampa's been able to get that early lead, it has been another really good start from Plu, and performing well against the top 3 team in the nation is definitely nothing to laugh at. Really good performances. Looks like she might have coaxed another fly out.
And the players collide and the ball ends up on the ground. And so Kenzie Reynolds will stay alive. And with this being a doubleheader, Taylor, the other thing that head coach Katie Epistopoulos doesn't have to worry about is using other arms, obviously, and there shouldn't be, but there's no one throwing in the Panther bullpen, and that does bode well for them having still another game here this afternoon, as we have the 0-2 coming now to Kenzie Reynolds. And up high for ball one.
Both these teams have a little bit of a break. Tampa's next game is on Wednesday. Adelphi's on Monday, of course, when the doubleheader concludes. So they don't necessarily have to worry about players going again tomorrow.
Reynolds, and she's going to fly out to right field for out number one in the bottom of the fifth.
Because they don't have a game tomorrow, both these teams could get more aggressive with the bullpen if they wanted to, since they will have at least one rest day. Tampa will have a couple more, as they will be active later next week at home during their spring break.
Lauren Fantone, who is 1 for 2 in this game. First pitch to her is up high here in the bottom of inning number 5. Fantone began the game with a single to right field, and then popped out to short in the second. And through the hole near first, and Lauren Fantone has her second base hit of the game. She's greeted and celebrated at first base by assistant coach Denise Rubio. That brings up Lily Keister. And Keister takes ball one.
Keister's had a somewhat quiet weekend, but what a dominant season from Lily Keister. A team leading 24 hits entering today. Would like to get on board in her third try.
Two balls, no strikes. Bouncer and bobbled, and what looked like it could have been a double play ball turned into nobody getting out, and the Spartans now having runners on first and second with only one down here in the bottom of the fifth. And right to the heart of the order as Kenna Kreidler, the number 3 hitter, stepping into the batter's box. She's 1 for 2 today, and we're going to have a conference out in the Adelphi pitching circle.
Kreidler is not an opponent you want to face here. Not necessarily because of the power threat she poses, but because she is a gamer. She knows how to get on base, leading the way for the Spartans with 16 walks this season. Conversely, the Spartans pitching staff has only conceded 19 walks as a unit. If Kreidler gets on board here, maybe she's able to work a full count and get on with a walk. She'd load the bases for the rest of the heart of the order with Galehouse and Russo due up. So a very dangerous spot for Plu. Has been very good today, but this will be where she's really put to the test.
And clearly Adelphi's coach, Katie Astelopoulos, recognizes what a critical time this is. And that might have been nothing other than a let's all exhale, let's hit the reset button. Take a little bit of a time here to have a conference that is pretty common sense as to what's being said, but let's not all get too tense as it's bobbled at short. And wow, bases loaded, and very similar play to what we saw before that, something that could have been a double play that resulted in no one getting out, and now same thing here as UT has bases loaded with only one out, and the number 4 hitter Mariah Galehouse to the batter's box.
Yeah, that one was a real textbook double play ball there for the Panthers, but just bobbled away by McCarthy. The previous one would have been hard to turn to on that play, just kind of went in and out of the glove for Kellogg. But this one kind of bounced at an awkward angle, and for visiting teams, it can be tricky to sort of learn how the Namoli Family Stadium infield kind of reacts to those ground balls. We've sometimes see freshman infielders for the Spartans have a couple of those early season hiccups, and same thing for the freshmen as part of the Adelphi team.
Plew working against Galehouse. Pitch on the way, and Mariah takes that one. Strike one called. And the door is wide open here if Galehouse can seize upon it. And that one high and outside for ball 2. Galehouse laces that one down the left field line, but it goes foul over towards the Spartan bullpen. Good contact there by Galehouse, but not able to keep it in play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Galehouse bounces that one over third. A run's going to score. Another one comes around, and 2 runs will score, and the Spartans inflate their lead to 3-0 as Mariah Galehouse with a 2 RBI single in the bottom of the 5th.
Galehouse was able to hit the 200 hit milestone earlier this season, being the only Spartan player to ever have 200 hits in a softball career. And Galehouse continues to add to the total. That time, that bouncer brings home 2. Just a great play from our Spartan legend.
And it gets tougher now if you're Plew, because Alexa Russo, the big bat of Alexa Russo, to the batter's box, and still only 1 out. Runners on first and second. Outside for a ball.
You know, if Alexa Russo can kind of summon the clutch gene of Cole Russo from U Tampa baseball, Plew is in a lot of trouble, because it feels that whenever Cole Russo for our Spartans on the baseball field has put in a high leverage situation,
Popped up. Called for and not caught. As ranging in was Ellen Torion. The Panthers' third base player unable to make the grab, and so 1 ball, 1 strike for Alexa Russo in the bottom of the 5th. As UT looking to really break this open. And just outside for a ball. Russo gets a piece of that one. Back to the wall in the warning track, and a nice catch made. And coming all the way around is Kenna Kreidler. And so the lead goes to 4-0 as Galehouse ending up over at third. Two outs in the bottom of the 5th.
in most Sunshine State Conference ballparks, that's a home run, but instead, it brings home a sacrifice play, allowing Kreidler to make it from second all the way home.
KT Simone, strike one. She reached on an error in the second and then singled in the fourth. And that one is a ball. Keep in mind that Mariah Galehouse over at third base. Bounces away, and Galehouse slides in safely for another Spartan run here in this bottom of the 5th, as they have gone from clinging to a one-run lead going into this half inning to now being up by 5. The 2-1. And that might be, Taylor, the one Achilles heel for Jenna Plew today is the wild pitches.
Yeah, it's put herself in uncomfortable positions a few times and has even seen 2 runs score against her on those just missed offerings. And I wonder if that's just maybe a couple of freshman hiccups from Moore or whether her placement just takes a weird bounce away. But, you know, she's been very good throughout the first 4 innings and pretty much every other aspect of pitching. So it's tough when you concede a couple of those plays. And Tampa's not a team that you can afford to have errors against because of their defensive prowess.
And even that last pitch to Kate DeSimone was way up high. That catcher, Maddie Moore, really had to react too quickly as DeSimone draws the base on balls. And now followed back by McKenna DiMartino, the shortstop, who is 0 for 2 in this game.
Wonder if it's also maybe a little bit of fatigue for Plew. Came off a 100-pitch outing yesterday against Rollins. Struck out 4, but barely took defeat with 2 earned runs.
And now Moore fires down to second, and DeSimone is going to be safe. And the Spartans really going for the jugular here. Leading 5-0, a runner in scoring position. Granted, there are 2 outs. 1-1 the count currently to McKenna DiMartino. And McKenna swings and misses for strike 2. And DiMartino stays alive. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Plew ready, delivers, and does get the strikeout as DiMartino, second time, strikes out looking. The Spartans, however, get 4 runs on 2 hits. There were 2 Panther errors. And the lead now 5-0 after 5. We'll be back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. A 76-degree Saturday afternoon, and the Spartans enjoying every minute of it as they are in a 5-0 lead as we start the top of the 6th inning. Number 9 hitter ZZ Schrader starting off for the Panthers. She is 0 for 1, struck out in the 3rd. And amazing, Taylor, that through 5 innings, Gwen McGinnis, the Tampa pitcher, has only had to face 17 batters.
Yeah, very lethal efficiency from Gwen McGinnis. Just giving up 2 hits, and both those base runners were stranded. No walks, no errors, no other way that anyone has gotten aboard. And she's also recorded 7 strikeouts, second highest tally for the season.
And fielded nicely by DiMartino over to DeSimone for out number 1. Gwen McGinnis averaging throwing 14 pitches per inning over the first 5. And she's got out number 1 here in the top of the 6th.
Really good play on defense by DiMartino. That was such a crisp grab over at short. I mean, it was going to be tough for the Spartans to replace Stephanie Ballmer. Her presence at shortstop had been known. Her height allowed her to make some crazy jumping catches that most shortstops aren't able to, but DiMartino, throughout her freshman season, has been filling in extremely well.
Nicely played. A great defensive effort by Alexa Russo. Not to be outdone by the freshman DiMartino with the play that she made over to DeSimone. Alexa Russo handles it by herself, and there's 2 out in the top of the 6th. This is the number 2 hitter, Angelina Kellogg, the second base player for the Panthers. She's 0 for 2.
Life is so easy in the circle if you're McGinnis. When your team is making defensive plays like that, it gives you the confidence just to leave it over the plate, knowing that if they do make contact, the players behind got you. And for the moment today, Reynolds, DiMartino, Russo, DeSimone, and the legendary Spartan outfield, they've been making those plays left and right.
Here's the 0-2. Not enough for the strikeout as Kellogg stays alive. And there it is, strikeout number 8 for Gwen McGinnis. The Panthers are required quickly in the top of the 6th. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Adelphi runners left on base. We'll be back with the bottom of the 6th after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Tampa Spartans closing in on their 16th consecutive victory. They are up 5-0 as we begin the bottom of the 6th inning. And designated player Ava Ramirez to the plate as we see the 8, 9, and 1 hitters this half inning. Ramirez 1 for 2 in this game. First pitch from Plew is fouled back to the screen.
Plew did not get a lot of rest after what was a long and tough bottom of the 5th inning out there in the circle, where Tampa was able to extend to a 5-0 lead. McGinnis immediately brings the red-hot offense back to the plate.
In the dirt, count even 1-1. Strike 2. Good pitch by Jenna Plew. And for all the talk that we've given about Gwen McGinnis today, Plew 1 strike away from what would be her 4th strikeout of the game. Nothing to sneeze at, although that one's way outside as the count will go even. And although she's got 5 runs up on the scoreboard against her, only 1 of them was earned. And does get the strikeout as down goes Ramirez as out number 1 in the bottom of the 6th inning, which will bring up Kenzie Reynolds, UT's second base player. Reynolds holds off, and that's ball one.
Reynolds has been a little cold at the plate this weekend, was hitless in the Game 1 win that the Spartans scored 15 runs in. Would like to get on board here.
Another one that's outside for ball two. Fouls that one off. Kenzie Reynolds, a sophomore who played her high school ball nearby at Steinbrenner. Count goes to 3-1. Taylor, we talked before about the wild pitches, but certainly part of the Panthers' undoing in this game has been 3 errors. And when you combine all that, it results in a 5-0 Spartan lead as you see the base on balls to Kenzie Reynolds. So another base runner for UT as we go back to the top of the order for Lauren Fantone.
You know, it's definitely hard to win a game when you're committing 3 errors and your opponent has none. And if you take a look at the stat line for Plu, 4 of her runs are unearned, and that I think tells a big part of the story as well. The entirety of the damage she conceded in that bottom of the 5th is not going to affect her ERA because they could have gotten out of it if it just didn't have as many bobbled balls in the infield. And that's a painful thing to realize, but that's just the truth of it.
First pitch was high, so this is the 1-0 now to Fantone. Does get the strike. Jenna Plu. Spartans 3 for 13 in this game with runners on, as Kenzie Reynolds is over at first. And that's strike 2 to Lauren Fantone. Jenna Plu with the 1-2. Fantone gives that a ride down the right field line. That's going to go out of play.
Do see someone over the bullpen for Adelphi. I don't think it would be someone replacing Plu, but maybe that could be their Game 2 starter getting some stretching and tossing in.
1-2, and Fantone sends that one foul down the left field line this time. Another 1-2 offering to Lauren Fantone. Fouls that one back to the screen. Plu ready with another. And Fantone looks at it for ball 2.
It's an important block there by Moore. Reynolds was able to go and get the extra base if that had gotten away from Moore, but even though it took her away from home plate, she stayed on top of the softball.
The 2-2, Fantone, nicely batted ball, bobbled, and everyone will be safe.
Go ahead, score.
That was Angelina Kellogg having trouble finding the handle.
It's the third time we've seen a ground ball, potentially a double play ball, just not able to be transitioned into a play.
4 errors for the Panthers. 1 out and runners on first and second. This is Lily Keister. Keister through the middle, and they're going to bring the runner all the way around. And the throw that's off the mark, and Kenzie Reynolds slides in with the Spartans' 6th run of the game. So Lily Keister comes through with an RBI single. And the Spartans catcher Kenna Kreidler to the plate now with one out. And her teammates Lauren Fantone and Kenzie Reynolds on first and second Keister and Fantone on first and second respectively.
And Tampa now has a good chance to keep scoring with the heart of the order due up.
Kreidler 1 for 3 in this game. And now Jenna Plu's 0-1 pitch on the way to her. Kreidler pops it up out of play.
That's an important 2 strikes to get for Plu in this at-bat. You've given up back-to-back hits and a walk, although it's actually a hit and an error because that was what the previous play, the bobble, had been ruled. But 3 straight Spartan base runners. You'd love to get the second out right here.
Outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kreidler looks at that one for ball 2. And a good job by Kenna Kreidler, who is behind 0-2. And now we're waiting the next pitch from Jenna Plu, who is north of 100 pitches thrown in this game. And Kreidler has to duck back as the count goes full.
She'll get a payoff pitch here on pitch number 107 for Plu. Entered the at-bat with 101 thrown.
Here's the 3-2. And the strikeout rung up by Jenna Plu as Kreidler thought she had drawn the base on balls. And instead 2 out now in the bottom of the 6th with runners on first and second for the Spartans. Mariah Galehouse to the batter's box, the Spartans' number 4 hitter. She had a single that drove in 2 runs in the 5th when UT put 4 runs across the plate. And the 1-0 to Galehouse. Swings and misses.
Now Plu still with a bit of velocity despite being on 109 pitches now because was able to blow the fastball right by the swing from Galehouse.
Galehouse bounces that one foul over towards the Spartans' dugout. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Keister on first, Fantone on second. And Galehouse strikes out to end the bottom of the 6th, but not before UT gets another one across. 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 Adelphi error and 2 Spartan runners left on base. We'll be back with the top of the 7th. UT well in the lead here, 6-0. Back with more on TampaSpartans.tv. Top of the 7th inning, the Spartans leading this game 6-0 and trying to close out Adelphi in what is game 1 of a scheduled doubleheader. Keep in mind that we will have another game for you here on TampaSpartans.tv after the break in between games. And Gwen McGinnis sees her first pitch caught for out number 1. Catch made there by Kenzie Reynolds. On the batter, Ellen Tarion. And as Torion heads to the dugout, into the batter's box, steps Juliana Sanzone, who has one of Adelphi's 2 hits in this game. She singled in the second inning. She singled in the 4th inning after having struck out in the 2nd inning. The 0-1 to her from McGinnis is strike 2. Fouled off.
Sanzone was
saying I had called time, and the umpire is not going to hear it. And so down she goes as the 9th strikeout of the game for McGinnis.
You know what they say, you can't argue with City Hall on a play like that. And Sanzone wanted a breather, but McGinnis was ready to go.
McGinnis ready to go right away here as well against McCarthy, and she has to just foul off that first pitch. I don't know that McCarthy was really set herself, and that speaks to how quickly Gwen McGinnis works. And here she comes with the 0-1. Fouled back. 1 pitch away from closing out a 2-hit shutout complete game. The 0-2. And we stay alive for at least one more pitch, as that one's outside and low for ball 1. McGinnis ready right away with the 1-2. Popped up. Called for by Keister. Makes the catch for out number 3. The Panthers, no runs on no hits, no Spartan errors, no Adelphi runners left on base. A complete game 2-hit shutout for Gwen McGinnis, who registers 9 strikeouts as UT wins it 6-0 and records their 16th consecutive victory and improves to 20-1 overall on the season. Adelphi dropped